Okay, we're here with 16-year-old Jordan Cullen. He's going to show us what he's riding this season, the 2011 cyclocross season. Tell us, why don't you start at the top, Jordan, and tell us about the frame set that you're riding here.
Alright, so I'm riding the 2012 Ridley Xfire with integrated cables. It's an awesome bike, I love it. I mean, I can't even tell the difference between this and my Xnight. They're both amazing bikes.
Okay, and what's new for this year on this frame set that you know of?
Well, the major difference for me is the internal cables, and just like it's so much cleaner, and like you don't have to worry about having integrated cables, so you save a lot of money.
Okay, so it saves you from having to change the cables out all the time when they're exposed. Okay. And then this one also has the the press fit 30 bottom bracket, correct?
Yeah, which is like, it makes it so much like sleeker and everything, yeah.
Okay. And then what do you run for chain rings here?
I run Thorn chain rings. I run a 46-38, and it's perfect, yeah.
Okay. And then you're running a full SRAM red drivetrain?
Yeah, it's just the SRAM red works great and like in all conditions, and I'd say nothing works better yet.
Okay. And then what about the brake set? What do you got on there?
I'm running TRP Euro X's, and they're awesome, amazing braking power and everything, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then what about your service course? You've got the Ritchey service course with the bar stem and seat post?
Yeah, I'm loving all the Ritchey stuff. I mean, and they make it all white, which just looks awesome, and it works great. I love the feel and everything.
Okay, and then looks like you got a Fizik saddle on there. That's a Tundra?
Yeah, the Tundra is awesome, and I love how this year they have the red, and it just matches perfectly.
Okay.
It's super comfortable.
And then now where the rubber hits the trail, what are you riding? What are these wheels you've got on here?
I'm riding the new Stinger 5s. They're the best wheels I've ever ridden, I'd say. I mean, Head makes the best products I've ever ridden, and like, I just love them. They're wonderful.
Okay. Is there some specific ride characteristic that you like about the carbon wheels versus the aluminum wheels?
I just like how these are a little bit wider, so you don't have to worry about, like, even if the tire goes into the rut, the wheel can't. So I just love how stiff they are.
Okay, and what it looks like you got some mud tires on there. What are those tires?
Yeah, these are Rhinos right now, and I'm using these for all like the bigger races if there's mud or anything.
Okay, and you race on tubulars or clinchers?
Only tubulars.
Okay, okay. Okay, Jordan, and then one thing we forgot about is the pedals. What are you riding for pedals?
This year I'm riding Egg Beater 3s, and I always love them, and I've always been using them, and they've never failed me. They're just wonderful. Okay, and then, so what's the difference? Why do you prefer these over the common candy pedals that a lot of guys ride? I just prefer no platform, because you don't have to worry about, like, on the start, having the platform being perpendicular to the ground and just not being able to get in. Okay, and then how about mud shedding capability? These are unbeatable, I'd say. Okay, okay, cool. Well, that's great. Thanks for the highlights on your bike, Jordan. Let's take a look at your backup bike. All right. He's going to show us the highlights of what last year was his A bike, but right now he's riding it as B bike while he's waiting for for a second SRAM Red group to come in. Tell us more about this bike, Jordan. All right, this bike is Ridley's top-of-the-line cross bike. It's the Xnight. It's won countless world championships. And a huge advantage of this bike is the internal cables. The tubes are just shaped like so ergonomically, and the integrated seat post is awesome. Okay, and right now you've got SRAM Force on there with what looks like a K-Force light crank set, and you're waiting for a SRAM Red group to come in to re-equip this bike? Yeah. Okay, and then what wheels do you have on here? Right now I have Head Stinger 4s with Clement PDXs on, and these are awesome wheels. Okay. And so now how would you compare these Stinger 4s to the Stinger 5s for cross? They're right up there. I mean, the only difference is they aren't quite as wide. Okay, so like you were talking about before with them falling into ruts? Yeah. Okay, okay. And then how would you rank these Clement tires that you have on the Clement PDX tubulars? They're awesome. I mean, like, I haven't had a problem with them. I mean, you can use them in any condition almost. Okay, so other than the SRAM Red group, this bike's ready to go, huh? You got basically the exact same setup. You got the Ritchey service course. Yeah. And everything else, same pedals on there? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Yeah.